haven't felt this way since Daryl Hall made an album without John Oates. Yeah, I'm old. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling vlogger who always tells it like it is. I have nothing more to say about that. Except that it was a pretty good PLE despite the predictability. I was afraid the tag title match would be my undoing, but even if it was, damn good brawl. And quite a few twists and turns as well. Speaking of, the big reveal from Payback was that Jey-O, who I could have sworn said he was quitting not just SmackDown but the whole WWE a few weeks ago, was announced by Cody Rhodes to be Raw's newest acquisition. Now, SmackDown is going to get a Raw superstar in return for Jay pulling a Kurt Angle, claiming his retirement in one brand and then showing up in another soon afterwards. I kind of fear for Cody Rhodes now. But after seeing these two twin brothers win multiple tag team championships in the WWE and being as thick as thieves even when they didn't hold titles, it's kind of awkward to see these two on different brands with very different points of view and different paths ahead of them. It's jarring. It's confusing. That is, it would be if it wasn't so common. If you think the Usos are the first tag team to split apart and try to make it as solo performers, you are rather new to pro wrestling, I dare say. This stuff has been going on for a long time. One of the first examples I'm familiar with are the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart were a big part of the WWE tag team division back in the mid to late 1980s. But after WrestleMania 4, they decided to not only ditch Jimmy Hart as their manager, but to try their hands at solo competition. Oh, they'd get back together before the next WrestleMania, but they'd split for good once WWE found out that Hart was much better at singles matches than Neidhart. And we all know what happened with Hart, right? Intercontinental title, WWE championships, feud with his own brother Owen, the Montreal Screwjob, Hall of Fame credentials. Neidhart? His prodigy Natalya has had a good run, but maybe it's time for her to go. And they weren't the only ones from that era. The British Bulldogs were an impressive team who eventually split. Davey Boy Smith had world title aspirations, while Dynamite Kid didn't get that far. And the fabulous Rougeau brothers broke up after an unsuccessful heel turn. Raymond would eventually become a French announcer, while Jacques became the Mountie and took the IC title. He would finally get tag team gold with Paul Alouette as the Quebecers, but it didn't last long. Flash forward a fair bit to the three big teams of the late 90s and early aughts: the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudley Boys. Jeff and Matt had a violent split, and Jeff would make the most of it, even winning the World Heavyweight Championship for a brief time. Matt would have version 1 tacked onto his name and barely made way for the Cruiserweight title. Edge and Christian? Well, both their careers reeked of awesomeness, but Edge seemed much more successful in the WWE. And the Dudleys split during the first draft after WrestleMania 20. Bubba Ray had a few hardcore title reigns, but not much else. And Devon was worse, only notable for bringing in Batista into the WWE as his deacon. Now around the same time were the Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart. For some reason they split after winning tag gold. Billy would find tag team titles again with Chuck Palumbo before finally finding a true partner with Road Dogg Jesse James in the New Age Outlaws. Bart? His WrestleMania moment as a soloist was boxing Butterbean in a brawl for it all match and being beat so badly he left. Which brings us back around to the present. For the first time ever, Jimmy and Jey Uso are on different brands. Jey seems to have the backing of Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and maybe Kevin Owens, but more importantly, he had singles success to a point. Hell, he even challenged Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at one point, before he and Jimmy were indoctrinated into the bloodline. He may have intercontinental considerations, or even World Heavyweight if Damian Priest ever cashes in that Money in the Bank contract. Jimmy? Well, you saw what happened on SmackDown. We don't even know if he's still part of the bloodline after all that jazz between Backlash and now. Will he challenge for the WWE Universal title? Or will Solo Sikoa send him into retirement? Tag teams splitting up usually ends with one finding great success while the other wallows in obscurity until they either quit the business or head somewhere else. Out of all the teams I've mentioned, the Usos were the longest running tag team falling away. To see them apart after over a dozen years in the WWE as one of the most dominating tag teams around, it'll be a little harder to accept main event Jey Uso and Bloodline or not Jimmy Uso as credible singles threats. But it seems almost like the WWE has more confidence in Jey than Jimmy, the way they are being offered to us. All I have to say is, if they don't get back together real soon, Jimmy better just head back home and wait for his brother's career to fizzle. I doubt any other company will see him as anything but a tag teamer, and only with his brother Jey. I'm Chris Wolvie, the Wrestling Vlog, who always tells it like it is. Pray for peace. I'll see ya!